everyone, Brittany here, and welcome back to my channel. And welcome back to Getting Started Part 2 of my Bride-to-Be series. So I'm just sitting down with you guys and talking about wedding stuff and my experiences of getting married, basically. So a little recap, 6 months ago I did get married, and I'm absolutely overjoyed with how my wedding turned out. Obviously still had its hiccups and bumps, but I loved it. I had a wonderful wedding, and I just kind of want to share the tips and tricks that I learned in the 11 months of being engaged with you guys. There's so much that goes into the wedding planning process that there's just so much so much to keep track of. So I just wanted to share with you guys, one-on-one, some of the stuff that I learned along the way. Obviously I am not a wedding planner. I do not know how to actually formally plan a wedding. These are just some tips and tricks that I learned along the way. Hopefully this series will be able to help inspire you guys and come up with your own ideas and kind of maybe incorporate some of my stuff with your stuff. And yeah, basically I'm just trying to help you all out. So in the last part, I talked about getting started, where do you start after you get engaged? What's the next step that you need to take? And so that video will be linked down below in the description bar, so you can go watch that before this one, and it will just help you kind of connect all the pieces together. So in this part 2 of getting started, I am going to be talking about budget. Basically that's it. That's just talking about budget. Budget and money and numbers are definitely not the fun things to talk about, and we will definitely get to the fun things of wedding planning later. But for this part, yes, I'm going to be straight up with you. We're talking about the money part, which sucks. This is a part that kind of sucks, to be quite honest. There's definitely a budget process that has to happen, and it starts with you and your fiance sitting down and talking about it. Talk about where's the money coming from, how it needs to be spent, and your top priorities for the wedding. So the best way to go about this is to sit down with your fiance and either have a notebook with you where you will keep all your budget stuff, or you can pull up an Excel worksheet, and there's even pre-made worksheets for wedding budgets on Excel, which is pretty cool. So whichever process works for you, cool, just sit down and do it. You're just gonna have to rip this one off like a band-aid, okay? Quick and easy. That's how it has to be. So the first thing to talk about is, of course, where is this money coming from? / who is paying for the wedding? For my fiance and I, since I was 19 and he was 20 when we got married, my parents actually ended up being the ones paying for it. We went a little bit more traditional, and my parents paid for basically the whole wedding. And more, not just the wedding, they also paid for other stuff too. And I'm so thankful for all the work and money that my parents put into our wedding, because we obviously would not have been able to afford a wedding like that at all. I mean, we're freaking college students, and the wedding that we had was on such a bigger scale than we ever expected it to be. Which, I mean, it was lovely. I honestly love my wedding, and I'm just so grateful that my parents were able to do that for my fiance / husband and I. Most couples these days tend to not go the traditional route, and they will both pay for the wedding, or if you already have a joint checking account, savings account, you guys tend to do it yourselves and pay for the wedding fully yourselves. Maybe you will have your parents or your grandparents pitch in a little bit or something like that. But nowadays the most common thing is that the couples pay for the wedding. And with that, you get the most control out of everything. You get to decide where all that money goes. With my parents paying for my wedding, they definitely got a little bit of say, quite a bit of say in the guest list and food. That was the two big things that they wanted their input in on, and that's what they got. So since they were the ones providing the money, they did get to make those certain decisions that I had to deal with. So that's kind of what you need to decide together, is where is this money coming from? Is it his parents or her parents, or just you guys, or is it a combined effort, etc. Just decide where it's coming from first so that you can plan accordingly. So once you guys are all sitting down with everyone that's paying, whether it's just you two or the whole family, you gotta now talk about how much you want to spend on this wedding. How much do you want this wedding to cost? Nowadays, the average cost of an average American wedding is about $28,000. Mine ended up being a little bit more than that. Granted, I am the only daughter in my family. I have 4 younger brothers. It's just me as the only girl, and it was definitely a little bit of my mom's dream wedding, a little bit too. I mean, it was definitely all my style, but my mom definitely lived vicariously through me. Totally okay with it, girl, I got you, mom, I got you. We originally started out with a $10,000 wedding budget, which grew way bigger than that. I mean, we didn't hit like 100,000 or anything like that. It was way below 100,000. I mean, 100,000, like if that's what you want to go for, if you want like that all out extravagant wedding, I say go for it. If you can afford it, do it. But don't put yourself in major debt for a wedding. You do have to be realistic and remember it's one day. This, yes, is a very special day, but you don't want to be in debt for 10 years from now, because that's definitely going to put a strain on your relationship and your new marriage. It's not fun paying off all those debts. So if you are going to maybe get a loan or something, keep the loan on a smaller end scale. Don't go and get like the $100,000 stuff, okay? Unless you want it. Unless that's what you can afford and that's where you want to go all out. If you want more of a quaint, intimate wedding, you definitely can do that for $10,000. I definitely think so if you keep your guest list smaller. The smaller the guest list, the smaller the budget, basically. So obviously you don't have to have your guest list all put together at this point in time, but you do kind of want to know how many guests do you want to invite. So we invited about 200 people and about 110 people showed up. So it was good to over invite, but we kind of guesstimated for 130 and we actually came in lower, which was really nice for food and stuff because it helped to lower those numbers basically. So just think about how much initially that you want to spend. Of course, research before you make that number. We went in with a $10,000 budget, which it definitely increased by a lot because we didn't really know how much stuff cost. So kind of research the average cost of food or catering in your area and research venues in your area. You don't have to choose the specific catering and venues yet, but it is good to kind of get the average cost for your area. It definitely changes based off of where you live, and that's a big thing you have to keep in mind. Obviously, a California wedding versus a Wyoming wedding is going to be a huge difference in cost. So definitely do the research of in your area, especially your state or wherever else you live. Look at the average cost for this stuff there and then go based off of that. I wish I had done that because then we probably would have had a more realistic expectation for our budget. The next thing you want to remember is, what do you want to put your money towards? What's important to you? The biggest thing for us was the venue. We wanted a very, not grand venue, but a certain venue that we had in mind. We were going for a garden style wedding and we needed someplace that had an outdoor area because I wanted to have an outdoor ceremony with an indoor reception. So we had to find a venue that catered to that. But that was a big thing for us, and so we felt okay splurging a little bit more on that. The biggest cost for us actually ended up being food because my family is very much a food family. We love food, and that was important. So my parents went with us to the taste testing for the food, and we went with a certain caterer because we liked their food. So that was like a big thing for us, and that's where most of the money went, was food. We ended up, I think, spending, I think it was about $11,000 for food, which is pretty crazy. That was like the biggest important thing. A lot of the decorations that we did were very budget friendly. We got a lot of stuff from the dollar store and made it way cuter, and I will definitely show you guys those in another video of like different cute DIY project stuff that you can do for your wedding, which totally saves money. We didn't go and buy everything from like wholesale wedding suppliers or anything like that, because it definitely gets expensive really fast, and renting stuff definitely gets expensive as well. Prioritize what's important to you, and the top 3 things are where most likely your budget's gonna go to. So those are just some helpful first steps towards making your budget. Obviously, it's gonna be different per each couple. It obviously varies on what's important to you guys for your wedding and how much you can actually afford and who's actually paying for it. Those 3 things are what's going to affect the budget the most. And it's definitely important to go in with a very realistic mindset. Don't be like, I want a $5,000 wedding, but I want lilies everywhere. Like, that's not gonna happen. If it's just you and your fiance that will be paying for the wedding, I definitely would suggest having a longer engagement so that it's not so stressful money-wise. You can kind of stretch it out, have your savings, and still be working and getting the money along with the wedding planning. So obviously the longer the engagement, the more money you'll be able to save. So if you definitely want like that $100,000 wedding, then definitely start saving up. But you will definitely want like a longer engagement. You don't want like a 3-month engagement for a $100,000 wedding. There's too much to happen in that time to like put everything together. It would be craziness. So hopefully that helped you guys out a little bit. If you have any questions or if you want me to cover any other topics in this bride to be series, definitely comment down below. I have no problem helping you guys out for sure. Obviously I'm not an expert, again, I just want to say that, but these are just some tips. I really just like I wish I had known this stuff before I planned my wedding. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and also if you aren't already subscribed, make sure to subscribe down below so you can get more videos like this, and I will see you guys all in my very next video. Bye guys. So my very first tip for you is to not panic. I know that's easier said than done, but yes, it will hit you and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm engaged, now I have to plan a wedding. Yeah, it's gonna happen, but don't panic, okay? In time, everything will fall into place how it needs to. Don't stress about it, okay? You can't just like start, oh my gosh, I need a cake and I need flowers and I need, I don't know. Don't worry about it. It'll get there. You'll get there. As long as you plan everything out right, there won't be any issues with that kind of stuff. Of course, there is hiccups in every wedding, but we'll get to those later. Okay?